The first thing Elias Renn heard was thunder, not the distant, rolling kind remembered from Earth's old oceans, but the violent concussion of orbital bombardment ripping atmosphere apart. The sky above Cairn 7 glowed in fractured layers of red and violet, as if the planet itself were bleeding. Ionized clouds twisted into spirals where kinetic strikes had torn holes through the upper air. In every few seconds, the heavens cracked open with blinding white fire as alien warships traded annihilation overhead. Elias lay pressed against the broken stone of a collapsed alien causeway, breath ragged inside his cracked respirator. Dust clung to his eyelashes. His armor was scorched, power readings flashing dangerously low. Somewhere to his left, something massive exploded, sending a wave of heat and shrapnel through the ruins. It rolled him onto his side and slammed him back into the rubble, rattling every bone in his body. This wasn't how he had imagined the end of his life. Once he had been a survey engineer, a builder of worlds, one of the first wave of humans to leave the dying cradle of Earth to help terraform new planets for the scattered remnants of humanity. He had believed in colonies, in futures, in the slow, patient work of turning hostile worlds into places where children could run beneath open skies. Now, it was a ghost on a battlefield that didn't belong to him. Stranded on a forgotten alien world at the intersection of someone else's war, Cairn 7 had been marked as uninhabited. That had been the lie that killed his crew. Elias forced himself upright, coughing as his lungs struggled against the thin, chemically tainted air. Around him, the ruins stretched in broken terraces of black stone and glowing alien glyphs, remnants of a civilization that had collapsed long before humans had ever looked to the stars. Between those ancient structures, modern weapons screamed. Plasma bolts streaked overhead. Energy shields flickered and died. He could hear alien voices shouting orders in a language his translator barely managed to parse. Two armies. Neither was human. And somewhere between them, Elias was trying not to die. He checked his rifle, a battered human-made pulse, carbine scavenged from a fallen Marine days ago. Power cells low. Ammunition barely enough for a dozen bursts. His ship, the Wayfarer, was a smoking wreck a kilometer away, its hull pierced by alien interceptors before he'd even known there was a war. Here, the galaxy was supposed to be empty out here. It wasn't. A scream cut through the chaos, high-pitched, desperate, not the roar of a soldier or the snarl of a predator, but something smaller, something fragile. Elias froze. The sound came from beneath the shattered archway just ahead, where dust and smoke swirled in thick gray curtains. Instinct fought with reason inside him. He had no reason to help anyone here. No mission. No backup. No chance of surviving long, even if he did nothing. But the scream came again closer now, and something deep and stubborn inside him moved. He pushed forward. Each step felt like walking through a nightmare painted in fire and shadow. Energy blasts lit the ruins in strobing flashes, revealing towering alien warriors in segmented armor. Some firing rifles of blue light, others wielding blades that hummed with impossible power. Bodies, human and alien alike, lay strewn across the stone, smoke curling from their wounds. Elias ducked behind a fallen pillar as a squad of reptilian soldiers ran past, their scaled hides reflecting the firelight. They were hunting something. He could hear their guttural barks, sharp and urgent. The scream came again. Elias followed it into a narrow corridor carved into the ancient stone. It sloped downward, away from the open battlefield, into darkness. Inside, the air was cooler. Still, dust lay undisturbed on the floor, as if no one had walked here for centuries, and at the end of the corridor, curled against the wall, was a girl. Not human. She was tall and slender, even crouched in fear, her pale violet skin faintly luminous in the low light. Fine silver markings traced her arms and face like living constellations. Her eyes were enormous, a deep reflective blue that caught every flicker of distant fire. Long white hair spilled around her like silk. She looked impossibly out of place amid the ruin and violence, like a living piece of art. Dropped into a slaughterhouse, she stared at Elias with raw terror. Behind him, the reptilian soldiers were getting closer. "Hey," Elias whispered, dropping to one knee, rifle held low. "It's okay. I'm not going to hurt you." His translator struggled for a moment before rendering his words into soft, chiming alien syllables. Her breath hitched. She shook her head slowly, trembling. They are coming. They will kill me." Elias glanced back at the corridor. Shadows moved at its far end. "Yeah," he said quietly. "I noticed." He reached out a hand. "Come with me." For a moment, she didn't move. Her gaze flicked between Elias and the darkness behind him, calculating, terrified. Then the first armored silhouette appeared in the corridor. She grabbed his hand. Her skin was warm. Softer than he expected. Alive. Elias turned and ran. They burst through a side exit into collapsed courtyard just as plasma fire tore through the corridor behind them. Stone exploded. Dust and shards screamed through the air. Elias pulled her down behind a low wall as energy bolts chewed through the ruins where they had stood moments before. "What is happening?" she gasped. "A war," Elias said, "and we're in the middle of it." She stared at the sky, where alien ships clashed in sheets of burning light. Her expression wasn't just fear, it was grief. "This was supposed to be a sanctuary," she whispered. "No one was to know I was here." Elias looked at her. "Who are you?" Her lips parted, then closed again. For a moment she seemed impossibly young, despite the regal lines of her face. "I am no one," she said. "Not anymore." The ground shook violently as a warship crashed into the distant mountains, sending a shockwave rolling across the planet. The ruins groaned. Pieces of ancient stone fell from towering spires, Elias knew, with sudden brutal clarity that staying here meant death. "My ship's gone," he said. "But there might be escape pods. Or underground structures. Something." She nodded weakly. They ran. Across shattered plazas and through burning gardens. Past alien corpses and crumbling monuments. Elias fired when he had to, his rifle kicking against his shoulder as he drove back soldiers who tried to cut them off. Each shot was precious. Each one brought them closer to being overwhelmed. But they kept moving. Time blurred into a series of desperate sprints and narrow escapes. Elias's lungs burned. His armor system screamed warnings he ignored. All he could think about was keeping the girl alive, because somehow, absurdly, that felt like the only thing that still mattered at the edge of the ruins. Beyond the last broken spires, they found it an ancient structure, half buried beneath the desert. Its surface smooth and dark, etched with glowing alien symbols. A sealed door. "Can you open it?" Elias asked. She placed her palm against the surface. The symbols shifted, the door slid open with a whisper of ancient machinery inside. There was silence. They stumbled into a vast underground chamber. The air cool and clean, untouched by the war raging above. Soft lights flickered to life along the walls, revealing rows of alien technology, consoles, cryogenic pods, data pillars humming quietly with power. A bunker, a sanctuary that had waited centuries for someone to return. The door sealed behind them, for the first time since the battle began. There was no gunfire, no screams, just the sound of their breathing. The girl sank to her knees. Shaking, Elias knelt beside her. "You're safe," he said. She looked at him, eyes shining with unshed tears. "No," she whispered. "I am not." And then, finally, she told him the truth. Her name was Lyrael. She was the last surviving heir of the Aurelian star. Throne a galactic empire older than humanity, one that had ruled hundreds of worlds with a philosophy built not on conquest, but on balance. The war above them was a coup. Her own people had turned against her. They were hunting her across the galaxy. Because whoever controlled her controlled the genetic and psionic authority to command the ancient Aurelian fleets and technologies. She wasn't just royalty. She was the key to an empire. Elias stared at her, the weight of it settling slowly into his bones. "I just saved a princess," he said. "A queen," she replied softly. If I live. The bunker hummed around them, ancient systems awakening at her presence. Outside, the war continued, and inside, two lost souls, one human. One alien sat on the edge of a future that would change the fate of the galaxy. Elias had come to Karin 7, expecting to die alone instead. He had rescued a queen, and neither of them would ever be the same.